table members here with us today. I acknowledge Barry Jones, who I believe is online, and I acknowledge the former member for Indi, Cathy McGowan, who is in this room, and all of the guests here as well. I pay my respects to the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet, the Ngambri and Ngunnawal people. I pay my respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders across this nation and the traditional owners of the lands which I represent in Indi, 60,000 plus years of continuous culture. I'm incredibly honoured to receive this award, pretty surprised, I must admit. To receive an award and to share it with my colleagues here, Rex Patrick and Zali Stegel, I acknowledge them and their very, very fine work. I acknowledge my colleague, Dr. Andrew Lee, and his very fine work. Alan Misson, what a person in this parliament, what an example of being a parliamentarian. Every time I stand up in this place, when the Speaker calls, the member for Indi has the call, I feel a prickle of excitement down my spine. I feel an enormous sense of responsibility to be the most honourable parliamentarian that I can be. And when I think about Alan Misson, I think about the way he always put principles, people, the parliament, before the party. He was courageous, he was honourable, and he left an enduring legacy. So I'm incredibly honoured to be receiving this award. Spencer, you spoke very generously of the Australian Federal Integrity Commission bill that I took to the last Parliament. I want to acknowledge the work of my team who drove this bill with me. I want to acknowledge Mark Lung, who's in the audience today. Mark was my parliamentary advisor, and so much of that bill belongs to Mark. I want to acknowledge Eliza Ginnivan, my Chief of Staff, who describes the role of the Chief of Staff as being a lighthouse. And she most certainly is. She shines a light out into troubled waters. She protects me from the rocks. And when I think about an integrity bill, it is a lighthouse bill, because integrity is the bedrock of this parliament. It is the bedrock of our federal Commonwealth approach. It should be. If we get the Integrity Commission to Parliament next week, and it will be called the National Anti-Corruption Commission, if that comes to Parliament next week, and the Attorney has assured us it will, we will be seeing for the very first time the culmination of more than a decade of work of many, many people. I acknowledge Cathy's bill, who came to the Parliament before me. I acknowledge the Greens for their bill that came to the Parliament. I acknowledge Rex Patrick for taking my bill to the Senate. We've tried this from many, many different channels, and to be receiving the Misson Award today, knowing that an integrity bill is coming to the Parliament next week, is very, very timely, and I'm so grateful for that. I want to also acknowledge that this Parliament has been hyped as being a fairer, kinder, more collaborative Parliament, and I truly hope that it will be. In doing that though, it's more than having codes of conduct, and I've fought for those. It's about actually sharing power. And when I started this brief few words by speaking of the First Nations people, I speak now of our very strong, my very strong hope that we will see in this Parliament true sharing of power with all of the hopes of the Uluru Statement coming to light through a successful referendum. And finally, I want to acknowledge the people of Indi. Without the people of Indi, we would not have seen such change, I think, in the independent movement across this nation. We now have the biggest crossbench since Federation, and we have communities out there demanding accountability, demanding integrity, demanding transparency. And today in the audience I have volunteers from Indi who are here, keeping me accountable, having a look behind the curtain of Parliament and making sure that as their representative I'm doing my duty. So it's with great honour that I accept this award, and thank you very, very much.